All right, good morning, everyone. Wow. We are here on Thursday morning, day after the governor's address to the joint House and Senate yesterday. My name is Oren Lesmeister. I'm House Minority Leader from District 28A. Sitting here alone today, our 5-day week, everybody's running, chasing bills. We got people that are in committees, people that are pitching bills, so you get to deal with me this morning. So welcome everybody in person and online. First thing I'll say is, the governor gave her address yesterday. I would say most of the address, the Democrats agree with. When I talked to Leader Nespa yesterday evening, we came to consensus that a lot of the stuff that she said yesterday, we do agree with. The couple of things we don't agree with is, the blame doesn't fall on just one administration in Washington. If you go back several presidents right now, you can see where the border issue has been an issue for a number of years. It's been a mess. Our border policy is broken. Right now we understand that there's a bipartisan bill coming through Congress that current administration is working with both sides of the parties to try to get something developed and passed. May not be perfect, as we always say in this building too. There's never a perfect bill, but we're hoping that at least they start. Because right now what's going on in the southern border is just not working for anybody. I think everybody can agree with that. As far as open borders, I don't agree with having an open border. I think if we had open borders, we'd just be letting them walk through the port of entries. We wouldn't be talking about a wall or Constantine wire or anything else. So no, we don't have open borders. The other thing is, a lot of these individuals are not criminals. They're people just trying to find a better place in the world. Bad actors are causing some of this mayhem that we're seeing down there, but at the end of the day, these are just people trying to find a better place in the world also. Maybe they're crossing illegally, that can be debated every day of the week and twice on Sunday, as they say. But at the end of the day, they are just people trying to find a better place than what they're in. They're living in poverty, they're under a lot of rule from the cartels down there. They're just trying to do better. With that being said, there again, we hope that our 3 congressional delegates in Washington, D.C. will continue working with the administration and get some reform passed through and get this started, that we can fix this situation down south. The last thing I'll touch on that before we go to questions or anything is, it was a little indifferent. In the governor's address, she stated, a lot of these are criminals and everything else, but then when Representative Mortensen gets up and talks about the resolution, they're children of God. It kind of was an oxymoron. The other thing I'll say is, you've seen the 7 Democrats were not, we did not vote for the resolution. One of the biggest reasons why we weren't even offered to sign on to it. I made Representative Mortensen aware of that afterwards. He said it was a fault on his part, how it worked out. We weren't even afforded the opportunity to even sign on or read the resolution until it was to the floor. So that gave a little sting, that we weren't even asked. So with that, I guess I'll just open up questions. I can ramble here for quite a while.
Well, Bob Mercer with Cumberland News, would you have signed that resolution? Would you have co-sponsored?
I possibly would have. I would have had to read it in full, Bob, but at that point, when it was read on the floor and stuff, I hadn't even seen it yet. I hadn't even had the opportunity to. So, possibly. I'm not going to say I wouldn't have, and maybe some others in my caucus. I don't know. I can't speak for them, but it just kind of stung a little that we weren't even offered the opportunity to read or have that chance.
The Democrats have a resolution on the same issue. Have you afforded the Republicans a chance to sign on to that?
I'm sure we have. I'm not going to put words in Senator Nespa's mouth by no means, but I'm sure he opened it up to everybody. Yes, he's the one that drafted that resolution. But yes, I'm sure he's opened it up to everybody.
And just to follow up on the governor's speech yesterday, you know, one of the things she said is that she has razor wire ready to send, or is getting it ready to send. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't. I think we're starting to use state resources now, send them south. You know, we can debate all kinds of different directions on whether it's ethical, whether it's legal, constitutional. There's all kinds of, you know, things that can be talked about, right down to even with the cost of it and how we're paying for it out of general fund dollars. I don't agree with that. I think Texas needs to order more Constantine wire, order more.
And one last thing on that point, do you agree with sending National Guard troops again?
No, I don't, for the fact that I have not yet seen what they're even capable of doing. From what I understand, they're just they just watch. I have not heard anywhere where they have any authority to arrest anybody, detain anybody, turn anybody back. So really, what are they doing? If they have a mission down there, let us know what that mission is and what authority do they have to be arresting or detaining people.
Well, just to follow up on that point, the governor also said that she was looking into, for lack of a better term, rules of engagement, in terms of what South Dakota National Guard could do. Do you agree with that?
Well, back to just the statement I said, what can our National Guard do? So she's looking at terms of engagement, you know, that would be my first thought is what are they? You know, what is their role? If they're just advisors or supervisors or watching, I don't think it's really a good, I think it's kind of waste of taxpayer dollars. Now, if there's a role that they were going to play, now we've got a whole different thing to talk about. But as of right now, I have not seen or heard of anything that they've actually done outside of just observe.
Oscar, Coach Scout, SCDA. There seems to be, at least yesterday, and I know you said that Representative Poirier had the meeting with the governor this morning, some sort of consternation between your caucus members, specifically the reservation ones who represent reservations, regarding some of the remarks made yesterday about cartel presence on the reservations. Can you speak to that at all, or maybe? Sure.
So the term was used, ghost answers, as a cartel gang that's being formed in recruiting. That's a term that Lakotas, they do not use that term lightly. They do not throw it out there. They do not, that's a sacred term to them. They do not know of any cartel that's setting up on, whether it's Pine Ridge or anywhere else. I will tell you, Representative Poirier reached out to her council reps, some law enforcement individuals that she knows, and they know nothing about it. They were appalled too. Hence, yes, we were able to facilitate a meeting this morning between Representative Poirier and the governor. So I hope that's going well. I was not able to make that meeting, but I hope it's going well. I hope they can come together and solve the issue.
Follow up, last night I reached out to the AG's office, the DPS, and they both sort of acknowledged that they were aware of a ghost dancers gang. There's a Rapid City Journal article from a few months ago about them being affiliated with the Banditos, which is another biker gang. Do you think maybe this is just sort of a misunderstanding, or?
It very well could be. That's why, Austin, it's one of the things where the tribe wasn't even aware of it, in Pine Ridge and things. So if this is, going on for a couple of years, I really would hope that the governor's office or DPS would have reached out to the tribal leaders, because they were unaware of this so-called gang that ghost dancers. Being affiliated with Banditos, that article was sent to me then last night also, and read through it. I think it shocked everybody when she threw it out there. and I don't mean that she used it lightly either, but it's just a term that they do not use very much at all within their own entities, let alone just have it put on national news that in Pine Ridge, South Dakota, there's this gang of ghost dancers set up. Especially in a poverty area where they're trying to drum up some economic development things, and now it's just gonna make that much harder. Well, gosh, we got this cartel set up in Pine Ridge, South Dakota, supposedly. We'll never wanna go there. And I really hope that the meeting between Representative Poirier and maybe some others, she was reaching out to some other of the Native caucus here, and see if they would partake in that meeting also this morning. So I hope it goes well.
When was when was this meeting sort of?
It was scheduled for 8:30 this morning.
Okay. And you guys found out about did the governor's office reach out to you or?
We both ways. I reached out to the governor last night to see if we could set something up, because our Representative Poirier was very upset, as you've seen on the news article, in her interview last night. And they reached back out to me. Ian Burry and I had a conversation last night, and he was able to get this meeting set up this morning. And so, like I said, I hope it's going well.
Again, I have a follow-up. I mean, are you?
Sure.
I guess, would you say, are you kind of, I mean, obviously you don't know how the meeting went so far, are you kind of satisfied with the pace of things in that regard? I mean, that seems like a pretty quick turnaround. And
I think, yeah, I'm the biggest thing is I was happy she accepted it, let us, let not us, but let Representative Poirier have a conversation with her about it and see where we could go with it, so. Got somebody sneaking in?
Let's think about it.
Go ahead.
Representative Lesmeister, this is Jody Easter, DRG Media Group up here. Been talking about the Pine Ridge Reservation specifically. Have you heard any feedback or any comments from folks on the other reservations in South Dakota?
Yeah, so I reached out to law enforcement individual that I know from Cheyenne River. He was unaware of any gang named Ghost Dancers. They do a lot of work, cross training, and help facilitate with serving warrants and stuff across the reservations. They help each other out a lot, especially when it comes to drug related issues. They'll help each other out through the task force. So we're trying to get our arms wrapped around it, trying to settle this down and make sure everybody is understanding that how that term could and should be used going forward in the future. So.
Thank you.
What are you keeping your eye on next week? Moving off from that topic.
So moving next week, we're going to see some pipeline bills come through that we will get from last year. Some eminent domain bills coming through. You'll hear a lot about landowner and property rights. Summit, there's a big bear in the room again next week then, along with ethanol. Again, I'm hoping that the temperaments have settled down some on this issue to where we can find some middle ground, to where at the end of the day we can figure out a way, if this pipeline's going to go through, to do it where it's safe and where it eases the landowners' minds on their issues with it. I don't believe in eminent domain in a broad sweep, and that's kind of what this was last year. How it was looked at. I really don't believe in eminent domain at all, except for when the government has that ability, and maybe some municipalities and things where you gotta put in infrastructure for the common good. This to me is still just a broad sweeping eminent domain. So I really hope there again we can come together, we can solve some problems, we can find that middle ground with the setbacks with the counties. I know there's been a federal judge ruling in Iowa on this incident that gives, FISMA the right to set the setbacks on the easements and different things. But again, someone has that ability to come forward and just say, here's what we'll do with setbacks. You know, we'll make them greater than what the federal government's saying. And maybe that's one of the pieces we can help with. So it'll be the big bear in the room next week is on the pipeline and landowner issues.
I think we're good. You guys good? Anybody on the line? All right. Anybody else on the line? Jack, you got any questions?
Not a good time.
Okay. I'll just finish up with this, guys. Work with leadership on the other side. You've seen the bill push, and we have pushed through. We anticipate possibly a bigger bill than what it ended up being, but I really think committees are running smoother. It's a little hectic at times. We're in a 5-day week this week, but I do have to actually commend everybody working the way they are. All the legislators. I think the lobbyists are getting tired trying to keep up too. Not a bad thing. But at the end of the day, we have really worked through the session pretty quickly. And I credit that to everybody, even committee chairs, to leadership and everything. With that being said, we got more to come, but we are already taking Senate bills on the floor. That's not unheard of, but we're taking a lot of Senate bills on the floor already. And I think that when we get close to crossover day, if we have to have some conference committees and different things like that also, it's gonna be a lot easier for legislators to make them meetings and different testimonies for the fact they're not scrambling, trying to fill committees yet from top to bottom. So that is one positive. I wanna end on a positive note, and that is a positive note. We are getting a session going and wrapping it up. So thank you.